Hi, and welcome to the Friendship Flow podcast. My name's Katy, and I'll be your host. My hope is to create a space for women entering their wisdom years to learn about friendship from all their own personal experience and create the circle of friends that they desire and deserve. I hope to explore this subject with you so that you can explore what friendship means to you in your life. I created a 5-step approach to accomplish just that. 1, self-awareness. 2, connection. 3, boundaries. 4, growth. And 5, joy. Each episode, we will dive deeply into the steps and how to use them. So take a deep breath, grab a cup of tea, and let's get started. Hi friends, Katy here. And today I have a doozy of a topic, friendship and boundaries. This topic is hard for so many. I know it's not my favorite thing to work on, but I also know how necessary it is to have the friends that will add to my life and not suck the life from me. Saying that sounds like a no-brainer, but unfortunately it doesn't feel that way. It can be difficult to stand your ground. We have all heard no is a complete sentence, and it truly is. However, it can be difficult and may be considered cold or rude in some situations. I think first we need to realize that we can say no in any situation and really believe it, no matter what the outside influence or who won't be happy with it. Here are some examples of boundaries we might need. There are way more than this, but this is some of the ones I came up with. Declining anything you don't want to do. So this is something we can actually practice. And so think of those things that you do on a regular basis or here or there that you truly don't want to do, but for some reason you find yourself always going back to it or always doing it. Practice saying no to one of those things. Just choose one of those things. And these are some examples of how to say no. I'm not comfortable with this, period. I'd rather not blank. Please do not blank. I can't do that for you, period. This doesn't work for me, period. I've decided not to blank. This is not acceptable, period. I'm drawing the line at blank. I don't want to do that. So those are some ways that you can incorporate. You can say it any way you want to say it, but practicing these helps it to become more natural and to express yourself the way you want to. So expressing your feelings responsibly. So don't blame. Don't put the blame on someone else, but in taking the power away from yourself. So, don't say, well, my husband would rather I not. No, that doesn't work because you're giving the power away to your husband. You're not taking responsibility. So really take responsibility for your feelings. Another one, talking about your experiences honestly. The more honest you can be, the more freeing it will be. Replying in the moment. Don't let things fester. This just prolongs everything. And it gives you more time to worry about something or to go over it and tell yourself more stories in your head. You don't need to let it go on that long for yourself or the other person. It's really beneficial to everybody involved. Addressing problems directly with the person involved rather than with the third party. This one's really an important one, at least to me it is. Be direct. Don't, call the girls and, what's everybody's opinion? Who thinks this or that? It just causes unnecessary drama. Just say what you feel. Making your expectations clear rather than assuming people know what you mean. So a lot of us think everybody thinks just like we do. Wrong. They don't. So really being clear rather than assuming people will figure it out. So you get your point across and it doesn't keep coming back to bite you. I listened to a TED Talk recently by Shasta Nelson, and she described 3 requirements for a healthy friendships. And she calls these friendomicity, which I thought was kind of a cute little word she created, because a friendship is an intimate relationship. A good friendship is an intimate relationship, right? So she says you cannot have a healthy friendship without these 3 qualities: positivity, consistency, and vulnerability. So positivity is really important. Although you can't be Miss Pollyanna all the time, the research shows a 1-to-5 ratio. So being negative one time, you have to be positive 5 times to overcome that. So if you're complaining all the time or just being negative all the time, it's sucking energy from your relationship. So just remember that the more positive you can be, the more healthy your relationships are going to be. Consistency, the second requirement of a healthy relationship. So, this is where you need to show up over and over again. This is where trust starts building. So consistency is really important. And then the third requirement in a healthy relationship is vulnerability. We all need that person that we can be totally vulnerable with, maybe more than one person, but those people that, we can fall apart with without judgment. Sometimes in those darkest moments, we say and do things that we don't want the world to see, but we need to get it out. We need to share it with someone. And we really need that person that we can let the floodgates open with and not risk the friendship in any way. Know that friendship's going to stay intact and, tomorrow will be another day. So if you can think about these 3 requirements for every relationship you have and just kind of reflect on that and see where your relationships land with these 3 requirements. Shasta also talked about investing in friendships, which is work and takes time. And she says, just because you like someone doesn't mean they'll make good friends for you. That kind of stuck out with me because there are a lot of people I like that I don't think we're really fit to be close friends, but I really appreciate them. I really like them. They might be acquaintances or in my friendship circle, but not a close friend. Just like I've talked about this guy before, Dr. Vivek Murthy. I always want to call him Victor Murphy, but that's not his name. So he's the Surgeon General, actually. Vivek Murthy. Spoke about loneliness, and we've talked about his book in other episodes. And if you haven't checked him his work out. It's really amazing. But Shasta speaks about loneliness as well and how prevalent it is today in children as well as adults. And she told this story, which I thought was great. If you get a chance to listen to her on TED Talks, she's interesting. So she tells this story about going out with a group of friends, and she created the invite. So she wanted to get together with this group of friends to catch up. They hadn't seen each other for a while, and it was after the holidays. So they get together, they get to a restaurant, they chit-chat, and everybody's telling their stories about how their holiday went and all of that. And she tried to interject a couple times, but the conversation took on a different avenue. And before you know it, they were talking about something else and never circled back to her about how her holidays went. So she left the situation. You know, they all left. They hugged. They said goodbye. They said, "Oh, can't wait to see you again. This was wonderful." And she got to her car and she just completely lost it and thought, geez, you know, who are these people? They're not my real friends. They don't even care. Wow, my holiday. I'm the one that created this whole invite and nobody even cared. And she started, that little voice in her head just started going, beating herself up. And all the way home, she got home. The next day, she's talking to Mom. And she got even more angry because Mom says, "Honey, maybe you could have spoken up." And she kind of laughed. And she said, "Your friends are not responsible for your participation." And she went, and then she really, you know, had that aha moment, that little light bulb went on like, oh, yeah, maybe I have some stake in this. So she was able to reflect on that. And she realized all the stories she was telling herself. And she was able to take responsibility for her own participation. And she knew her friends really liked her. And she knew they didn't mean to leave her out. And if they knew that, they'd feel terrible. So those are the things we need to, instead of jumping all over sometimes, you know, we need to step back and reflect on. So why don't we take a minute here to think about one of those times that we may have felt invisible in the company of friends and created our own stories about what happened. You know, the voice in your head that starts going crazy and you start telling yourself that things that might not be true, might be a little skewed. So if you have a pen and paper, maybe jot these down or maybe just think about it. What is causing me stress or discomfort in this situation? What do I look forward to? Who or what gives me energy? Who or what drains my energy? Who or what makes me feel safe, supported, and valued? When I do feel unsafe, unsupported, or devalued, and what causes this? Take a minute to reflect and ask yourself what makes you feel safe and stress-free. So I encourage you now to get a pen and paper and actually write it down. Draw a line down the middle of the paper or fold it in half so you have two sides. And on one side, write what you need, and on the other side, what you don't want. Sometimes these exercises can feel really silly, but they truly are effective. After writing, put this paper away for a week or so. And after that week, take the paper out, look at it, circle anything that may have shifted, add more if you think of anything else, and do this for a couple weeks and see if you start shifting toward creating those boundaries that will serve you. Again, loneliness seems to be such a common thread of all the research with relationships in any form. It has continually become a bigger issue the more we evolve with technology. People are finding it easier to be alone because they don't feel alone. We can be on social media channels, catching up with family and friends. We can be on chats. And now people are relying on AI to work things out and get ideas from, and so many other things. So the lack of person-to-person contact is growing. Again, Vivek Murthy, the Surgeon General in the U.S., whom I've talked about his book several times because I really do find it fascinating. But he he put out some surprising stats about who is lonely. So he says that people between 30 and 44 years of age were the loneliest group. 29% of people in this age range said they were frequently or always lonely. That was really kind of surprising to me because that's not what I would have said. And then I'll read them first, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So among 18 to 29-year-olds, the rate was 24%. For 45 to 64-year-olds, the rate was 20%. Adults age 65 and older with the lowest rate of 10% felt lonely. So I thought it was opposite. I thought 65 and over would be the loneliest people. I thought the elderly really would be the people that are lonely. But that is not what we're seeing. We're seeing the ages 30 to 44. That just kind of blew my mind that what are we doing here with technology and other things that are keeping people so isolated. There were, in this study, there were no real gender or racial differences. There were some income conclusions that people making less than $100,000 a year were more lonely. So the people that are making more, of course, were less lonely. Loneliness affects so many factors in our lives, our mental health, and the research shows it affects our physical health as well, even to the point of early death. Like, loneliness can really kill you. I mean, it's really kind of scary. So what does this say about friendship? To me, it says friendship is really, really important. We can change this for ourselves as well as others by reaching out and becoming part of the community. As we wrap up today's conversation on friendship and boundaries, I want to leave you with this reminder. Boundaries aren't walls we build to keep people out. They're doors we choose to open with intention. They're the way we honor ourselves so we can show up fully in our friendships with clarity, kindness, and truth. If today brought up any memories, emotions, aha moments, be gentle with yourself. This takes time. It's work. You're learning how to care for yourself in a way that ultimately strengthens your connections with others. Keep reflecting on what fills you and what fills you up and what drains you. Keep practicing the simple phrases that protect your peace. And most importantly, keep showing up for yourself because that is the foundation of every healthy relationship you'll ever have. We all heard the saying, you can't give from an empty cup. Keep your cup filled first, and then you can give and know you have plenty to give. Next week, we'll move on to step 4, growth, how friendship evolves, how we evolve, and how to navigate those shifts with grace and courage. It's one of my favorite steps because it's where the real transformation starts to happen. Thank you for being with me today. And you can follow me on Elevated Adventures Yoga. That's my Facebook page for events, retreats, workshops, and all kinds of things there. Until next time, take a breath, take care of your heart, and remember, you deserve friendships that feel good to your soul. Bye now.